un carrusel, carrusel, carrusel.
La vida es un carrusel.
Vamos a disfrutarla.
Fly across the country.
La vida es un carrusel. La vida es un carrusel.
Fly across the country. I finished this.
La vida es un carrusel, 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 carrusel.
La vida es un carrusel. La vida es un carrusel. La vida es un
Fly across the country. I finished the show and I hop in it. I got me a milli. I did it legitly. I'm still with the shit. I'm hot.
Vamos a disfrutarla.
La vida es un carrusel.
Fly across the country. I finished the show and I hop in it. I got me a milli. I did it legitly. I'm still with the shit. I'm hot.
La vida es un carrusel, 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 carrusel.
La vida es un carrusel.
Fly across the country. I finished.
Going to be forced to play it out as a solo now. Gino, Pablo, and Ferdoxy, they might even look to hunt him later on. They know he's somewhere tangled up in this lower layer, but still, they are just so heavily looted up, Jacob. The world is their oyster right now.
From 11 to 13, big numbers in game two. Agers, Pollo trying to do the same thing, but they just run into speed bump after speed bump. Bolts gets the elimination. Active Storm Surge on the Agers. He does have some heals, but he needs to start figuring out where he's going to get the damage from as a solo. You see in the numbers just kind of tip and top, up and down, 30 to 20. He's trying to figure it out, but every 7 seconds, 25 damage. He lands just a chip shot, but it's enough to get above the damage threshold. But as soon as he starts to try to rotate in, High Ground just focuses him and beans him down to 58 HP.
Exactly what you'd expect to see from Hype, but Agers still found this little pocket, this little bubble, a breathing room, that is, until the surge damage starts to tick away at his life again. Agers just trying to see if he could come up with anything. Sure, they managed to dip a little bit into the placement points, but it's just not enough. They've got to go on a massive recovery tour for game 3. Swizzy, Queasy, Amber, Stash them. They've already found their spot in this lobby, and it's straight towards Hype.
Queasy has one motto: take height, don't get eliminated. And obviously in the first game, they gave it up because they didn't want to go down. This time is their chance. 400 plus damage above the threshold, and it's continuously counting upward, and they pull the zone. That is the biggest difference from game 1 to game 2. They now have the front side, and they have full control. And Venez trying to fly his way in. He instantly gets knocked down. And now it's up to Pablo Chino, and they're not immediately trying to drop down low. They're trying to assess the situation and figure out if they can take it.
Chino's been on fire. Pablo, still 3 eliminations too, but 11 elims despite losing for Oxy. This is still a classic scenario for Pablo and Chino. They might still be able to make it work. They're trying to see if they can figure out, maybe take away a little bit of an advantage play, because these teams are looking for pre-edits in the mid-round and even in the lower layers, but they're not going to allow it. Mustache, Swizzy, and Queasy are the real threat right now, though. They just continue to apply steady pressure to those mid layers. It's a big part of the reason why these teams are just getting so picked apart in between.
And you're seeing, as soon as they made it inside of the zone, they reconnected, making it that much harder for anybody to take them down. Marius, he's now trying to move up. 10 damage above the threshold. At least they're in front of the curve. Quickly looking towards the right. Currently Cooper and Reed. That was their momentary target, but they realize they have to stay ahead of the zone. They cannot get too greedy and fall behind.
But nobody can come close to Queasy and Mustache. They're just still overtaking the high ground. King, big time though. Pink's eliminated. PH Sin soon to follow though. If he's not careful, he's going to be forced to pull back here. But King and PH Sin hit by hip. Flowberry Fizz punishing as much shield as they possibly can, because they have to keep moving forward, playing back the zone, because they have no materials. They're going to be forced to drop another layer. Height's not going to allow them to press forward any longer, and they might just drop directly into Epic Whale's hands.
You're seeing a lot of the damage again. Higgs goes down. Pixie cleans that one up. Queasy gets the knock onto Ianzo. They're making sure that they make it count, that they got high ground in this game. 5 eliminations, and once again, they're connecting it. They're reinforcing. They're making sure nobody has a chance to contest them on the high ground.
Everybody underneath them is just a victim at this point, Jacob. Marius, Vanya, and Pixie seemingly undiscovered for the time being. Massive chunk of his shield. Pixie now looking to play the medkit from the active zone. Swizzy, though, shutting down Vanya the moment that he tries to push forward. And Mustache directly assisting here. Bolt, they're rocking a hard place, and Madi is going to be knocked. Madi is eliminated, essentially. There's no way his teammates are going to be able to get to him.
Yeah, and you're also seeing Kanata fall, Rapid down. Not sure about both. Things are going sideways very quickly, and it gets even more worse because the zone is pulling over that mountain. If you didn't prepare for it, it's going to be lights out. But Swizzy trying to stop the Surf Juice. He's going to be the first one that does go down. From Mustache, Queasy, that's a huge signal. That's a huge sign. They're trying to get away from this catalyst on the low ground.
But Queasy and Mustache are the only ones that made it to the mountaintop, and Queasy, it is just raining down from above. Queasy continuing to find those eliminations. Pump gonna be dropped. It's only Baka and Yeko, and Panzer's been eliminated too. Queasy and Mustache away with it. No one left to challenge them. Kings of the mountain.
If you were to ask anybody, who do you think is going to win? M8 is all what the crowd wants to see. And now 2 of their favorite players in the world just picked up a Game 2 victory royale. Just lighting up the arena as we speak, and you're seeing the looks on their face. Now I want to know what they're thinking. Frankie, let us know.
Mustache, you have made the Gentlemates more happy than they have ever been here in Leon. What's it like to take the second victory royale here?
I mean, it's nice, feeling nice. I want to win more games. We're going to win more games, and they're going to scream more louder with every game.
I think they will. Queasy, it felt like in game 1, you tried to take the high ground maybe a bit too early. You couldn't hold it. This time round, there were no mistakes. How did you make sure the plan went flawlessly? more from these crowds and these players after this short break. Do not go anywhere.
Do you get scared? Do you feel lost? I can smell fear. I've been there before, but you made it through the storm again. You did it on your own. Goosebumps in your skin. Do you feel what I feel? I'm waiting on you to notice that you got what you wanted. We don't got time to cry right now. Only got time to focus. Trio and my eyes are red. Three of us can't come be with us. Everybody screaming like they did and believe in us. Believe in us. Believe in us. So here's on the wait list. I was armed and dangerous. Take a shot, leave them faceless. I was armed and dangerous. On a whole different level. I can see why they hate. I was armed and dangerous. You should have noticed I've been focused. You should have known I've been loaded. You should have noticed I've been focused. You should have known I've been Do you get scared? Do you feel lost? I can smell fear. Been there before, but you made it through the storm again. You did it on your own again. Goosebumps in your skin. Do you feel what I feel? I'm waiting on you to notice.
My, oh my, game number 2 going in the way of Queasy. Mr. High Ground himself, Swizzy Merstache coming out on top again. I love, my favorite part about Fortnite is when we see these games happen, we get to talk directly with the players. I get to see Swizzy cheesing because they got themselves a victory royale. And I love too, Viv, you know, they sit there and they kind of call out, hey, you know, we had some unlucky pulls game 1, but game number 2, everything went our way.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we definitely talked about that already. The interview that you're kind of talking about, right? I love to hear the game plan, right? Quizzy should have said it. Hey, you know, what's the game plan? Just keep going, Height. Incredible game from them, and you can kind of see the difference in the style of play, right? The control from this trio, you know, versus last game where we saw a less experienced team up on the higher ground kind of lose it very, very easily. It kind of seemed like, nah, Queasy's been up here before. They were well structured. Nobody was going to shoot them out. And I'm not going to lie, Kelly, after they won the game, they were kind of like hands up in the air. They were like, that was easy. Yeah, we watched the game. Nobody even looked up at them.
Well, with Merstache with the revolver shotgun, who wants to look up at them? We saw what happened to Pablo. If you try and go up even close to high ground, they're just going to shoot you out. And this trio, we talked about at the start of the show, they have their head on a swivel. They are so aware of what they need to be looking at when they have that high ground. They have such good positioning, making sure that they have one player in the front of zone and then 2 players looking behind them when they're on high ground, because we know just how potentially easy it is to steal height. But not when you're
season.
I love the kind of like the duality, the dichotomy of games 1 and 2, right? Game 1, you got Kanata come out, just jumping all over his trio mates rather. Game number 2, I mean, look at Queasy. Ice ball, right? He's like, look, I love that I got this VR, but I have to stay locked in. I cannot falter even for a moment. I love to see that they got this victory royale. So many points racked up. And I thought for like a moment, I was like, okay, we've got height, things looking good. We ain't got eliminations. I said, Zeke, hold on. Look at the points now. Off of a single game, double-digit elims coming out from the trio, and now holding down the #1 spot. Viv, this is looking good. Game number 2, we started to get crazy. That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I am a little bit worried, right? The game plan is coming to fruition, and I'm not going to lie, I'm a little bit worried as well. 6th place, Pablo Wingo, Chino, and Fredoxy winning the off-spawn in game number 2. Of course, going down the first game, getting the opportunity to go ahead and showcase exactly what they can do. And Kelly, this was kind of like, you know, after major number 3, EU, they kind of hit the pause button, right? They showed up on the stage, and then they hit the play button again. They were like, listen, we know what the game plan is. Run at people and get the elims.
Oh my gosh, what was it? By zone 3, they had 8 eliminations. It was absolutely crazy watching what they can do when they do win that off-spawn fight. But what I want to see now, though, is them transition that into the perfect end game. And you saw they had the idea. They wanted to potentially go for height. It didn't work out. They dropped down, and then they were still able to carry themselves. And that really is what matters. Not just being able to kind of recover from a failed height steal, but also recover from a failed game 1.
Yeah. I mean, listen, Zeke, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be a little bit of a critic here, right? Levin kind of made a great point when he was just up here. He was like, listen, like, why are you guys kind of looking up at height, right? You would imagine that it was meant to be like an EU team up here. Of course, that wasn't the case in game number 1, but in game number 2, it was. I'm kind of questioning, like, the decision from Fredoxy's trio to kind of go up there and steal the high ground, right? Levin kind of talked about it. You kind of expect a great EU team to be on the high ground. You would imagine that Fredoxy would have thought, like, hey, listen, Queasy's probably got the high ground. Why would you just send yourself kind of right in their firing line and kind of risk that when they had so many builds to work with? They could have just worked the mid ground.
I think they were testing the waters a little bit. It's still just game number 2. There's a lot of potential to possibly see what high ground is going to be like. And in game number 1, high ground was a little bit easier to take. But that was when Queasy was not on high ground. But looking up on the high right now, of course, we have to look at Pablo Wingo, Fredoxy, and Chino just a little bit more into that game. Look at this. We're in zone 8, and they already have 11 eliminations, sticking to the low ground because that's where all of the players are going to be. That's where everyone drops down when they're getting a little weak, a little low, and that's where they can clean everything up.
Terrifying stuff. Man, you know something else I wanted to call out? Another trio that's performing insanely well in 4th place. And, you know, guys, we actually got to see them a lot in major number 3. Yeah. King Phaser, PH Sin showing up on a global stage. We already saw them show up in NA in major number 3. They said, all right, this is practice now on a global stage after game number 2, 4th place. They are looking to continue this run. I mean, they are proving to be pretty menacing here on land.
Yeah, I mean, it's super, super impressive. Again, they're a trio alive, right? I kind of talked to Levin about this, is that they do such a good job right now of getting around to like 10th place as a trio. Kind of a little bit out of character for them, because usually when one of them goes down, all of them go down at the same time. But no, a little bit of a clutch here from King and PH Sin. Incredible stuff, right? Maybe adapting to the lobby, being like, hey, listen, we can't just kind of play this game where it's trio or nothing. Let's play for ourselves a little bit after things start to look a little bad. 4th place right now, so good.
I feel like that really speaks to what they learned from North American Central. That's something that we commonly see. A lot of these duo solo clutches in a trios competition is kind of NA's bread and butter. And so for King to come here, learn a little bit, and also perform very well against the big names in NA, I think that they have brought that in just tenfold for the Globals competition.
Yeah, and I mean, I'd love to remember we got to interview him kind of the sort of show, right? And, you know, in summation, he was basically like, look, I wanted to go to NA, I wanted experience. And to your point, taking that experience and immediately the next step is the hardest competition. And they're like, hey, we went out, we learned, and now look at the fruits of our labor. Like, that is so incredible to see. Guys, this is just the first 2 games of the competition. This is just the first 2 games. What are we hoping to maybe see in game number 3? So, you know, think about, like, again, the duality, right? Game 1, Tayson's roaming around the map. Game 2, Fredoxy's. You know, are we maybe hoping to see more of this back and forth?
You know what I want to see if we're talking about back and forth and coming from North America? I'm going to be a little bit biased. I want to see Cold, Peterbot, and Ritual, as well as Acorn, Agers, and Poyo make it to an end game. I want to see this rivalry that we've been building up for the last year. And again, the first 2 games, Vivid, we still have so much more, and we can expect out of those 2 trios much more to come.
Yeah, I mean, kind of strange game from Acorn's trio there. We almost never see them below Surge, and Surge was definitely an impact from their game right there. And instantly, you know, again, we talked about it after game number 1. We were like, hey, listen, like the plan seemed like it would have worked if they would have just went ahead and third-party the Dystopia City fight. We didn't see them third-party the fight at all this game, right? So maybe instantly kind of veering away from that because it didn't work in game number 1. I don't know where they went on the map, but not feeling confident right now.
Man, dude, I want to keep talking about so much that we saw in the game. So much to unpack, but you heard that battle bus horn. It is that time. Once again, game number 3 is here and ready for us. What's going to happen? Let's find out right now.
Here we go. Game number 3 is among us, and so much is going down around the map. It's kind of hard to keep focused. You got the Rangers Ruin Osbong fight 1-1. You got the triple contested, or even now a duo contested Dystopia City. You got drop spot roulette being played out as well, and you got Queasy's team and Kanata's team at the top of the leaderboard.
But we just saw Prodoxy and Tayson on the big screen here in Lyon, and they are going back to back to back with these off-spawn contests. Both of these teams wishing each other good luck in those pre-game player interviews. But Prodoxy, he's looking to make that first touchdown. Tayson actually going to be the first man to pick up a weapon. He's looking to see if he can close in on an initial knock. Gino already stripped of half of his HP. Tayson, though, with the leverage of the high ground, they have forced Pablo, Chino, and Prodoxy to be stuck dealing with the swarm. They are all tunneled inside of the same staircase. Rangers Ruin is getting desperate right now for Gino. He's only got 4 HP to work with, but Atris, he's actually going to be the first one fully eliminated. Gino still holding it down, delaying, buying enough time. Prodoxy with the separate angle approach, but Prodoxy, he's got to finalize on this. They have to capitalize on this moment, and they do. Game strike yet again here in France, but no, it's been Ruin, Scarpa, Gabzetta, and Wei immediately getting involved.
This is what we were talking about. Maybe 2 games will play out as normal, but things are looking a little shaken up as Gabzetta. They're trying to take advantage of this fight that has gone 1-1. Now it's looking like Prodoxy is in trouble. Gino, he's the one with to make a play as Prodoxy just trying to loot up, get some materials. They realize even with Pablo going down, they have to start to think about reboot card. When do we get it back? And they're not the only team. There's another team that's starting to look in this direction for Gabzetta, Scarpa, and Wave. They got what they came for, and that's position over Rangers Ruin.
The pain right now for Chino and Prodoxy is that Chino is just stuck. Prodoxy had to create a little bit of space. He had to disengage. He had 0 mats. He knew he could no longer stay involved in this fight, but this is definitely going to put a damper on their overall game strategy because they're just going to have to wait it out. Gabzetta, Wei, and Scarpa, they're also going to reap all the benefits of taking Rangers Ruin for themselves.
See if that one continues to play out. We'll take a close eye on that one. But this one, Dystopia City, where we thought it was a triple contested fight. Cold, Ritual, and Peterbot go back to something they did early on in game 1. They landed towards the outside, but they do not know. Tinka and his entire trio is right above from OCE waiting for things to break out. But a triple contested, they're all landing towards the launch pad. Rise is the one that's getting good damage on the Pico, and that's the first knock. Flixie's taking some damage as well. Luckily for him, he has a momentary escape.
Drise, Yuma, and Coyota just putting on the burners right now. Flixie was trying to provide a little bit of coverage, but 1 versus 3, and he's not going to get the chance to escape. Asia coming out on top in game 3.
What is this? It might be a Brazilian thing, you know what I'm saying? Because both of the teams that qualified out of Brazil, or at least 2 of the 3, are now made their way over towards Rangers Ruin. Luckily for Prodoxy and Chino, though, they were able to get on out. So this is just a whole different mix-up that I didn't expect in a million years.
This is the Phonoxy effect right now at Rangers Ruin. Everyone is just crouching, creeping up on each other. But Scarpa gonna be some of the first to open up with some big shots. Still not feeling comfortable just yet, diving straight into the heart of the action here. But Scarpa, they recognize King. He might be trying to make this flank approach. He could be an isolated member. P8's in though, still gonna be enough of a buffer zone here, and Gabzetta, Scarpa away. They've decided, you know what? You guys can have it. We're out of here.
Yeah, we got to figure it out. This wasn't even our drop spot. You guys can take it. Now King Phaser, P8's in. They're actually choosing to kind of rotate away from Rangers Ruin, and that's a conscientious decision. Go for eliminations, go for points, go for Storm Surge, instead of sitting back, not knowing if that other team is still alive, and going for XP. These are the two different paths, and they're taking this one.
Talk about a silver lining, though, for Phonoxy and Chino. They're left all alone at Rangers Ruin with Brazil deciding for that early departure, but Peterbot, Ritual, Cold, they've struggled to really find a home with their initial drops just because they've been trying to go all around the map. And yet again, lobby number 3, we are seeing them try a slightly different approach here, but the result is still all the same currently, Jacob. They're at Dystopia City, and they're waiting to see when they're going to be able to try and take advantage of this contested area. But Pinka, Kazi, Aspect, they're also just trailing so close behind. It's making it really difficult for Peterbot, Gold, and Ritual to actually take advantage of vulturing some of the leftovers here at Dystopia.
And I just got my eyes glued to the mini-map right now, and I'm counting 1, 2, 3 different teams, but wait, one of them's Kazi, Tika, and Aspect. So I'm thinking right now, where is Epic? Well, Victor V and Paper. Maybe an early battle between Tay and the full trio is Swizzy, Merstash. 2 different bases towards the sky, and with the zone pulling a whole different direction this game than the previous 2, it looks like it's pulling south, maybe a western lean. Swizzy and Merstash and Queasy, they have the luxury of waiting for all these teams from the north to rotate down into them, and that means easy surge for the first place team.
Merstash wasting absolutely 0 time alongside Swizzy, locking in some of these early surge tags. A little bit of hide and seek, but it's going to be Merstash coming out on top yet again. Goofy knocked, but you have to remember, despite Goofy being knocked, there's no real opportunity provided there for Queasy's team to follow up with a heavy key approach. So we're going to shift a little bit of the attention focus. Striker needed to watch his back, but he's still got Tisco maybe to try and bring things up into fruition, but Salco Art School, they pose too much of a threat here, and Tisco will be eliminated. That's just an easy cleanup.
Yeah, for a team, you said it yourself, Arc is playing fantastic as an individual the entirety of the week leading up to this, taking 1v1s against anybody who's taking that challenge, and now something coming from him, NA West. This could be a big make or break moment for his entire Fortnite career. As Reed, Cooper, Curly, same position we saw them in that last game, just at the edge of the zone. They're just trying to get as much Storm Surge as possible. Not sure who that is on the other side. Baka's team, Mansour's team, those are the 2 possibilities it could be.
There's one thing that Peterbot's certainly got intentions leaning towards. It's maybe trying to key Marias, Vanya, and Pixie, but underneath, does he even know? Does he even realize? Victor V, Paper, and Epic Whale, they've decided maybe we should just bring the paddle straight to Peterbot, Gold, and Ritual. Why are we the ones waiting to see whether or not they're going to stick around and hover inside of Dystopia City? Necessarily primed with that loadout for fighting. And for that reason, and probably knowing that there's another team in that area, it's just best not to take that fight.
Yeah, it's just not easy to get the loadout that you want, especially when you're triple contested. And then a 4th team makes their way on over. So I think they made kind of the heads-up play to focus on staying alive, prioritizing position, realizing we can get a loadout, we can get Storm Surge elsewhere. Visual Braids and a Minish. Business as usual for them. They land over towards Foxy. I think as soon as they realize the zone was pulling in their favor, they immediately start to set up their own surge base. And this is kind of a little bit of different kind of pacing of the game that we're seeing in game number 3 here. Instead of the all-out aggression, it looks like they're kind of playing more to what a lot of teams have practiced, which is storm surge bases.
Yeah, but Cooper finding that first knock just gave the green light for Curly Ree and himself to actually key find those additional eliminations. That's some big surge that they are getting online super early. And a handful of teams that have managed to have some success with these surge bases. But we have seen so many interventions, so many other teams, and that's something that Chad Reason and Mr. Savage don't take lightly. They're going to spend a little bit of extended time inside of these early storm picks. They don't mind it, and it's giving them a good idea of which direction they actually want to head, especially when you're scouting out some of those surge bases in the distance. They know there's going to be teams looking to try and hold on edge of zone.
Yeah, and then kind of add in the fact that neither one of these two games that we've had so far has went down to heel off. So it's kind of giving you more and more of that confidence, like, hey, I can stay a little bit longer in towards zone. I can try to figure out Storm Surge, especially if you're uncontested like they are. You could always go back for those extra heals. As OXR HQ, just as busy as we last left it, Pixie, Marius, and Vanya. They kind of got a huge space, basically a 3-room apartment. Everybody gets their own bathroom. They're just kind of replenishing a lot of those hills that they used to get there. You see the extra hills in and outside of their base, and they're just a hop, skip, and a throw away from the actual zone. The only thing that we do not know yet, Taco, is do they see Peterbot, Ritual, and Cold? Do they know that team is there?
They're likely pretty aware that there's somebody lurking. Whether they know that it's Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual directly, that'll have to be answered later on. But Victor B, Epic Whale, Paper, they diverted that initial path, and they find them.
Anybody here feeling all alone? Been searching, looking for somewhere to call my own. Looking for the hideaway, that sweet escape. He's calling my name. He's calling my name. Been a lot of different places, seen a lot of different faces. I don't know if I should say this. Hideaway, that's it.
Fly across the country, I finished the show and I hop in it. I got me a milli, I did it legitly. I'm still with the I'm hot.